Hey everyone, it's Ivan with kitbadger.com, out here for another gun review, and today talking pistols. This guy right here, which is the Echelon 4.0C. It is the compact version by Springfield Armory. Broad strokes, what is it? It is a carry pistol. Size-wise, you're looking at basically a Glock 19, 4-inch barrel, chambered in 9mm, and this being the compact, it is a smaller version of the larger Echelon. There are kind of a number of pretty cool features with this pistol, and yeah, I guess I'll touch on some of those. There's some pretty neat stuff they actually did with this pistol. For one, I actually really like the texture they put on it. It's enough to grab, but it's not abrasive, especially if you're wearing it against your body, like no undershirt or something like that. And up here, there's basically a little thumb ramp for your support hand to basically ride there. And this right here is actually really nice. It's almost kind of like fencing, protecting the mag release, and it's mirrored over on the other side, which that is ambidextrous, by the way. You can press it from either side, and when you press it, it does push out a tiny bit. I haven't ran into the issue that I've ran into with Glocks sometimes, where basically you press and you'll self-defeat on the other side and it will not drop free. Probably has something to do with this, like I said, almost fencing right there. The other thing they did a great job with is their serrations. Not quite as aggressive as like Walther PDP, but they're definitely better than like Glock or some of the other manufacturers, giving you a lot to actually grab and grip right there, which I do actually really appreciate those serrations. Other things, man, the iron sights it comes with don't suck. Talking to you, Glock. And this one is basically kind of like a big U notch back there. Kind of take it or leave it depending on what you like. And then up front, if the focus will catch it, basically a bright kind of tritium dot up there that lines up pretty well. And of course, being a modern pistol, it is actually cut for optics, this being the Defender ST by Vortex. Overall though, pretty solid gun. As far as the magazines for this pistol, they have a flush right here, 15-round magazine, metal, shows you how many rounds you got on the back. And then they also have one that's extended and it'll hold 18 rounds from the factory. Comes with 115 and 118. Something else that is kind of unique, don't see tons of pistols doing it, there's a fire control unit. And also something that is probably kind of nice is you don't actually have to dry fire this thing to take it apart. You just lock the slide back, this lever over here, run it down, and then run the slide forward, there you go. And right here, inside here, it's your fire control unit. There's actually a cutout on either side of the frame. Over here it's saying, well, basically, Geneseo, I don't know how you pronounce it, Illinois, where Springfield Armory is. And then on the other side is the actual serial number. And the whole fire control unit will come out. And then of course you can strip this down as needed as well. And to put it back together, just go ahead and lock it back. And that little arm, flip it forward, you're good to go. Easy day. Which is probably pretty important, especially for maybe a police department, because pretty much every police department I've ever seen, there's, especially if they're issued Glocks, there's on the like cleaning bench, there's basically a picture of one or more hands with holes through it from when people clear their pistol out in their hand before disassembling it to do some weapons maintenance. So this does alleviate that. But I guess it brings us to kind of how they use this. I've actually shot this pistol quite a bit. Some of it, honestly, just out on the range, getting reps, working through one, reload one, things along those lines, just getting familiar with the gun, and yeah, like I said, just getting reps. And I've also actually shot it at some courses. I want to say the first course I shot this at was a 2-day kind of pistol, combatives, rifle, night vision, like everything course down in, I guess it was down in Washington, I want to say, might have been Oregon, with Amtech shooting. Really fun. I do remember being really cold. Drove in that first night, there was like hoarfrost on everything, but yeah, did a great job for me down there. Then fast forward from that, I most recently put a lot of rounds through this at a 3-day hit class down at Thunder Ranch. High intensity tactics. Basically kind of a advanced pistol class, if nothing else. And this thing did a great job for me there. Put a lot of rounds through it.
2 hits. Good, new spot, anywhere you want along the wall. 2 hits. Hold out and you in. Nice work. Barrel, 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 barrel.
And at one point we ended up doing a walk back on basically like a reduced IPSC, I think they had up on the hillside. And yeah, as long as I did my part, this thing absolutely performed. I think once we got past like 30, we went to maybe like 50 yards, shot there. And then I think finally back at probably around like 75 yards, I think is where we stopped. With all that said, how has this gun done for me? Honestly, it's been flawless. It shot great. There are things personally I don't care for about it, and it's not the gun. So the gun actually comes with 3 different back straps. You can kind of play with that, figure out whatever fits most for you. For me, when I throw this thing out, more often than not, it doesn't point naturally for me. And it points natural, just not for me. And when I say that, I've actually just spent a lot of time recently, like leading up to shooting this, shooting PDPs, and the grip angle is just a little bit different. So as a consequence, it took a while to basically get to where I would just throw it up and not have to like drop the muzzle to get it to point where I was trying to point. And again, it's just a training thing, sample size of 1. So if you're coming from a different pistol, like a PDP, for example, that's real. If you're coming from maybe something like a Glock, probably not even noticeable. I would say this is probably closer to a Glock than, say, a PDP. Something else nice on this pistol is the way this is actually undercut on there. It is actually pretty comfortable grabbing it, and being a modern pistol, you can put lights, lasers, things like that on there. By way of example, this right here is Surefire's new XC3. It's actually a great light. Pretty small, pretty compact. And something that is important with respect to pistols is it's supported by holster manufacturers, because it doesn't matter how cool the pistol is, if you don't have a holster for it, you're not going to be able to carry it. And I will say, Echelon compact, pretty well supported, to include with different pistol lights and stuff like that, at least from kind of your known good reputable holster makers. By way of example, this right here is the FO3 from Forward of 3 from Blackpoint Tactical. Awesome holster, hard clip up here on the holster body, this one back here on a leather wing, and Forward of 3, basically just forward of 3 o'clock, which is where usually I like carrying my pistol. And you can of course get appendix, whatever it is you want, but it is pretty well supported by a number of different holster manufacturers. Who do I think this pistol would be good for? Honestly, anyone looking for a good, reliable, concealed carry pistol. Pretty lightweight, I think about 24 ounces, 15 round capacity, or 18 with the extended, and a lot of really good features built into it. Price-wise, I want to say a little under 600. You're like, but I could get a Glock. You could, and if you already have 10 of them and like 700 magazines for them, like do that. However, if you don't, there's a lot of things here that are honestly just better than a factory stock Glock. To include, as I mentioned, the serrations. Personally, I like the grip or the texturing on here way better. In my experience, mag release is better. Triggers the same, if not better. You actually have real sights. And speaking of those, the way they are set, or the way this is cut rather, at least with this Defender ST by Vortex, you can actually co-witness your irons through your red dot, which is pretty handy. And yeah, as far as trigger goes, before I send one into Canada right over there, trigger's pretty nice. When I say nice, I mean it's a striker fired trigger. Is it the best? No, but Is it at least as good as Gen 5 Glock? Yeah, I would argue it is. Come to right there, push through it. Pretty solid. And like I said, just a lot of really good features, especially at that price point. And it's turnkey, you don't have to do anything to it, which is pretty handy. And pretty well supported with respect to holsters as well. But if it's something you're interested in, you can check out links down below. And as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.